Alright, so here we are at, this is the garage structure. This is the door to the entry hall, which has 3 bays separated by the 3 archways and the 2 pillars of column pillars of tires. So this lower bay here is where I've got all the tools, and off to the side here, so I call this these windows here the visor, because it's got like a visor mortar thing that goes over it. So I'm going to work my way up there. So I've got to start down here. So I'm starting with the drainage project, where there's a hole in the wall here. And that's going to be where I'm going to pipe the drain to. So that's visible over right there. And right up in here, just been cleaning out the dirt. This has been kind of a mess for drainage, which wasn't able to get fully built last year. So I just dug all the dirt out here. And we've got a bit of a about 8 to 10 inches there to get up to that. So I'm going to build a drainage basin on this side, which will collect any water that is in here, and then it'll get piped out to that pipe. So here's the kind of initial look. This was like a jungle in here. Just the other day I weeded it all out, and at some point this archway in here is going to connect all the way to that tire wall, and then there will be a staircase going up. And that tire wall is from the very first year. It's the extension off of the earthship by the door, basically. So this is the start of it, is this drainage basin. So the piping part is complete. Luckily I had all of the pieces I need on hand. And I'll just cover that. And so next step is to build up the base there with stone and mortar so that it all drains into there. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do that, but one step in the process will be cleaning all that mortar that's already on the bottom there, cleaning the dirt off, and then I'll probably put mortar up to the edge, stone, mortar, until it's high enough, and then just make sure I don't fill in the hole. And then there will be a drainage basin, and then I can work my way back from there to cut into this other dirt and extend the mortar so that any kind of groundwater hits mortar before here. And anyways, we'll see how it goes. I'm going to take a break and eat some food now, though. So this little project, I got a batch of mortar, basically one 60-pound bag of mortar and a bucket of stones, maybe almost 2 buckets of stones, and I'm trying to take this out. It's still a little bit wet, but I gotta take that out to clean around the drain pipe. But it's mostly sloped. It'll just need a second coat to, it's kind of hard to see the angle, but to get that all to drain properly. And not today, but I'm making that second coat on today, and then maybe by tomorrow I can walk on it and then proceed further to the next step. It's looking like maybe I'll do steps in here. That seems to make sense. After the second coat of mortar, it is all smooth and sloped, and I can keep on going up. So here we are at what I call the visor, which is the roof of the earthship and the greenhouse there, with the entry hall on the left. And the goal up here is basically where Lewis is, to get the drainage from all of this to go down towards right in there, which is the the intake for the drain pipe that I showed you in the last week, which goes through there to that bucket, and then there's a bit of insulation on top of it to help prevent it from freezing. So going to extend, put a little scrap of insulation on the end there, and then bring up stone and mortar over the stone, and then shape it so that the water flows over to here. And the end of this EPDM sheet, which is over this whole roof to fix a leak that it developed, will ideally then shed onto the mortar layer. And I'm going to try to do all that in such a way where this tree and these berry bushes here continue to survive. So try to find the balance between all those. And here's what it looks like after some prep. Got the insulation over where the pipe is and stone up to there with the EPDM pulled back and ready to apply some mortar. So after one batch of mortar, stone's covered, insulation and lath is covered, and it's got an initial slope. And it'll those rocks are holding down the lath, and it'll just need another at least one coat. And probably around the next coat I'll bring up some lath to cover up that insulation panel, and then connect the bottom mortar to the structural mortar there. So while the area up by the visor is still curing, I'm working on step 2 over here. So here's the form for the next step, and I'm going to do it kind of like those other steps I've been doing, where I'll get some mortar down right in the corner to connect to what was already there, and then I'll pull those rocks down onto the mortar, and then I'll just do layers of mortar as I build the rocks up. But the mortar doesn't have to cover all the rocks, it just needs to cover a few inches up against the cinder block, but not touching the cinder block, so it doesn't actually bond with the cinder block. And it's a little bit tricky about these rocks. The rocks are dry stacked. So anyways, I'll show you what it looks like after one bucket of rocks and half bucket of mortar. So this is what it looks like after a half bucket of mortar, 1 bucket of rocks. It's got layers of mortar and rocks up against the cinder block, but it's not quite enough, so I'm going to go get more rock, mix a little more mortar, and get it all even with the top of the cinder block, so that once it's cured enough I can take that cinder block out. So after the second batch, the level is basically up to the cinder blocks. That's about as far as I can go now. I gotta wait for all that to cure, and once it does I can advance to the next step, but that won't be till tomorrow at the earliest. And then I just put all the excess mortar on the tires around here to continue on that. So moving on. Next little mortar project are some stairs here at the front gate, which should slope all the water when it rains a lot away from the gate and through that. And it's late enough in the day where the chickens shouldn't ruin it, so I'm going to get to mortar, and I already wetted the rock. Wednesday evening, this is mortar project number 4 of the day. Number 3 being over here. I put a little bit of a strip of remash that was recycled. That's what that rock is covering, and on the other side the piece of wood is covering, to give this little step, which just kind of juts out over the dirt hill, which is eroding, to give it a bit of tensile strength. And then this is number 4, to keep dirt from getting into the gate as much and keep the water flowing out there when it rains. That's all for today. Good morning. I had 3 different ideas of how to start the day today. A mortar project, some weeding, maybe a walk to go see the horses, and all got aborted for various reasons. And now I have settled on tires. So I'm going to work on this here tire project. I didn't get very far over here, just pounded those 2 tires and got the next one figured out. But mostly what I wanted to do was dig the dirt back from that trench so that over time, as this hill kind of erodes, it doesn't fill up that drain pipe with dirt and diminish its ability to drain. So that subtask was accomplished with a little bit of progress on the tires, bouncing around a bit and moving on. So I'm just about to apply a second batch of mortar up here. And you can see the lath on that section and the holes. And I will start covering all that up now. After batch 2, you can see that it's all pretty much covered except for the transition here, which will require at least 2 more batches. The first one needs to dry in order to bend the lath properly to get tight with the existing mortar, and then there will be 1 batch to connect and 2 to smooth it on that part. But the rest of this should shed water nicely, at least close to the drain. Not all the way to the drain yet, but progress. So it's end of the day, I think Thursday, and I got the second step all situated. And the first one I kind of messed up. Usually I would put the rocks, see how the rocks that went around the cinder block are jutting out in this one. So I fixed that in the next one where the rocks are in the mortar or cement, but it'll still be fine for this one because I'll just kind of blend those rocks into the edges and it'll just be extra reinforcement essentially. But yeah, glad I got that done. I'm now working on step number 3 in here and just kind of working around that raspberry bush, which now I realize I guess I won't be able to transplant it, but maybe I can survive there. We'll see. It'll at least survive as long as it can. But that's about as far as I can go now until that dries. So another area and another stone and mortar project going in this little corner here, and then I'm going to get it to drain to this drain here that I'm standing on. There's a tomato plant right there, and this is the that kind of big S drain that I did a while ago. So I'm going to do 2 layers. I'm going to mortar that layer, then I'm going to add another bucket of stone, and then I'll mortar the second layer as well. And get it to drain over to here. Right here is the pipe, and add some more stone in there. So this whole area is structurally connecting this whole gap, and then also shedding water appropriately. And we got a tomato plant right here too. So after the first layer of stone was mortared, I got the idea, because I was going to do 2 layers anyways, of putting a layer of insulation down. So I'm going to do that with some insulation panel, and then I'll put more stone over the insulation, and then add a second layer. This is how this little area ended up. I guess it doesn't have a finish coat because it's got some chicken feet on there. I couldn't keep them out, but I got the second layer of mortar over here, which is over the insulation, sloped over to the drain, and stone filled in around the drain so that it can drain properly. So overall, pretty happy with this result. It's been a nice and relaxing Saturday, doing a little bit of rock work over on the wall in this section. So I got one little bit mortared, and I'm gonna apply some mortar on this second section. Good morning. It's Monday morning. This is a different project over here. I usually like to do the before and after videos so you can actually see what's been done, and it's a little difficult to see, but basically what I've done over here is secured underneath the shipping container so critters can't get in there. So underneath where that pink sled is, which is just covering dirt, was the whole area that was filled in. So there's metal up against the shipping container, and then it's backfilled with dirt. So this whole area just beyond the pink sled, that had already been done, I think this spring or maybe even last spring, and there's some garbage and stuff here to help this fresh dirt not get so much sun, so it can end up getting reseeded. A little bit of stuff was transplanted here, and then rocks all the way around. This front entry to the shipping container was redone not too long ago. I didn't include that in a proof of work video, but that closed off the rest of the front here. And then there's rocks all the way around. Some sections have some chicken wire, and then rocks just holding them down all the way. This whole section was a little difficult to get in between this raised bed and the shipping container. And then all the way, this kind of been slacking a little bit on the gardening. This whole double raised bed here thing here. All of which was recycled. Got it recycled from a place. But it's not all planted. Basically just has some tomatoes, which were self-seeded, and I'm just doing my best to kind of prune and train, and some berries that just started, and more tomatoes over here. And then all the way to the end and over here, there was a big open area where the critters could get in. And it's all sealed now. So one of the issues is there was more loss of life here. Two more chicks got killed by an unknown predator in a, not exactly knowing when it happened, but within a day and a half, 2-day time period this week. So we lost Raven and Veronica, 2 girls. So the chicks are down from 8 to 2 roosters, 4 chicks, as opposed to 2 roosters, 6 chicks. So it's really awful. And there's another predator out killing them. I think it's probably a fox, though I don't really know for sure. But this was the first step in making sure that this isn't a haven for larger predators in the shipping container. And yeah, kind of bad news and some reactionary security. Check it out. I cut into this corner where these tires are, and now I'm gonna rock up that corner before I add another tire. So this corner area is all rocked up and wetted and ready for some mortar. The first coat is rather messy, but that'll be alright for now. I'm going to move back onto that tunnel staircase area, and I should be able to circle back and do a second coat on this by the end of the day. And that's all. Chickens. Eating stuff. $16 altogether. 1 rooster there, and 2 young roosters right over here. I'm gonna bust up some old almonds so they got more food to eat. It's afternoon Monday, and got some more rocks in this tunnel area. So there's one section that should be able to reach just about to the top of the mortar, and then just about over to the tires. There's a few bare sections, but getting closer to this area being rocked up, but I'll do the mortar now. So it's about end of the day on Monday. Here's how this whole tunnel area is coming along. Got a good bit of coverage over here, a first coat on most of it, and then a second coat on some of it, and the first coat over there, and some of it just about reaching all the way up to the mortar. And if you've been following the last few weeks, you know, well, the last week was dedicated to that water feature, and before that I was focusing on the rental. You might wonder why I'm not working on the rental this week, and the truth is that I just kind of am not excited about it, so I'm just going with the flow of whatever seems exciting. So I'm about to mortar the rocks on this side, and then do the second coat over here. And that might just be it for today. Still pretty messy after coat number 2, but at least it'll be solid after this one. So this area right here, while it's not totally flat there, it's cut. The corner is cut, and the tire wall here is now connected on the bottom with the mortar wall there. And now it'll just take a tire or two, or we'll see how many it takes to connect fully over to there. And then I've got a big metal window that I'm going to end up framing in here. That'll be for next week. Thanks for watching.